Start my weekend.
Own your day on the Network for Connected Living. There's more to see. C-Spire. Customer inspired.
Hello, friends. Welcome inside, at least for me, the Riverland Roofing Studios. Riverland Roofing on the hat. Sorry, folks. Had to run in and change the shirt real quick. So, as being the out of shape idiot I am, I'm out of breath. Riverland Roofing for all your roofing needs. Riverland Roofing, 662-644-4296, riverlandroofing.com. He's Zach Berry. I'm Ben Garrett. John Cox, the ToC Legal Correspondent. We'll be here shortly. Because guess what? The NCAA ain't done with Trinidad Chambliss, folks. So we're going to talk all about it. Hey, Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Good morning. Welcome to Friday.
Friday. How you spending your Friday, sir?
Let's see. We got kid one has a half day. So I'll go walk over there, pick him up. Nice day outside. Enjoy the weather. And
Nice.
then yeah, that's probably about it. Probably get the kids outside, play, and might run into a cold beer or two with the other dads.
I sure as heck hope so.
Pretty standard.
I sure as heck hope so. What are you watching for this weekend in Ole Miss sports? Ole Miss basketball closes out the regular season tomorrow against South Carolina. I will be there for that game. I'm going to cover for us the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com. If you live on 3, this QR code you see right beside my head. All you got to do if you're a new member is scan it. Try us out for $1 for 5 days before it switches to an annual sub. But 5 days of just hanging with us at the Ole Miss Spirit. We do this all day, every day at the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com. And if you live on 3, you don't just have to hang out with us for an hour every single day for the podcast. We would love to have you with us all the time at the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com if you live on 3. So I will be at the regular season finale for Ole Miss men's basketball. A disappointing season, obviously, and barring a incredible run, shocking even, turn of events run in the SEC tournament next year, their basketball season will be over. This disastrous basketball season will be over around this time next week. So I will be there for that. Ole Miss baseball before opening SEC play at Texas has a weekend series. There's that to cover as well. Ole Miss women's basketball is in action. What are you most paying attention to this weekend before we jump into the story of the day, which is the NCAA appealing to the Mississippi Supreme Court, the preliminary injunction ruling from one Judge Robert Whitwell, Pittsburgh, Mississippi, that y'all watched for 9 hours with us here. And at one point, I think the most we had watching was 84,000 people. That's not an exaggeration. I have the screenshots to prove it, and I'm not capable enough from an AI perspective to change that up on you. So 5,000 people watching, and now that's still not over, even though I don't think much of anything is coming from this. What are you watching for this weekend in Ole Miss sports? Because for me, I'm really intrigued to ask one Chris Beard about how the season went, how he plans to address it. What's anything that's changing this offseason, this, that, and the other. What about you, brother?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch some Ole Miss baseball. Doubleheader today.
One Mike Clement, Ole Miss baseball hitting coach, was supposed to come on with us today, but because they have a doubleheader, he couldn't. Completely understandable. He said he wanted to apologize. He's like, man, doubleheader today, blah blah. Totally fine. He got stuck in a meeting yesterday because he was going to join the pod at 11 o'clock yesterday, and then I had to take Gracie to LeBonner for a checkup for her seizure. We got spring break in New Albany next week, and I am going to take the girls to Universal for 2 days next week. So Jake and Zach and Chuck, yes, y'all will have the full. Like, I'm gonna let you handle the podding. I'm gonna let you and Brad handle the pods. Pseudo. The site, the Ole Miss Spirit, I'll still be there posting and stuff, but yeah, I'm going to take them because you're not going to get to the end of your life going, man, I really wish I'd have kept that $1,500 instead of taking my kids and giving them an experience. Even though as you get an adult, as you become a dad and an adult, and you get off into this stuff, you think, "Dad gum, man," you know what I mean? I need to save every penny because it seems like you're paying out every single day. So spring break's coming next week too. I just want to let people know if you're looking for Mike Clement, he'll be back with us next week.
What would have been cool is if we could have gotten Mike to
work does suck, that Jeep adventure.
I don't know if he could do this, but like get those Ray-Ban Meta glasses, and he could have joined the pod from coaching third base. We wouldn't tell Mike. Don't tell Mike that he's doing a podcast, but that would have been fun. But all jokes aside, I'm watching baseball.
That's coming next because we try to be everywhere all the time at ToC Champions, Zach. The only concern I have with the Meta glasses is that like they can, once they see everything you see, they could document it and keep it. You know what I mean? Like,
whatever.
But other than what do we got to hide if it's just our man Mike Clement, cranking that arm at third base I think that'd be fun. That's the next step in the evolution. I've kept interrupting you 6 minutes now. I've been trying to get to ask you what you watch for the weekend. Shut up. So what do you watch this weekend?
Baseball. I want to see baseball. I want to see Hunter Elliott get off to a good start. He's been solid this year, but just the pitch count, it's running up. And then that's kind of how he is. Like the game is, he pitches, his pace is very slow and deliberate. But I think as the season goes on, he needs to get the pitch count down. That's only going to help him, and it's going to help the bullpen, especially when you get in the SEC and you need that deep bullpen for a weekend series. He's got to make it deeper than 5 innings. So I want to see that. I want to see some a little bit, see how the approach possibly changes at the plate. I know we've got a lot of swing and miss. We've got a lot of home run power. I want to see some guys work a little bit more gap to gap, trying to find a base hit instead of going for the big fly. And now I know that's kind of part of the mantra, if you will, with this team. They've got a lot of home run power, but it's not like these guys aren't capable of hitting gap to gap and just trying to find base hits. I mean, Joe Udemar can do that. Austin Foley can do that. Tristan Becerra, the rest of them. Like, I think like Colin Reuter's been one that's like really flexed a pretty dynamic and balanced approach at the plate where he can put it out of the ballpark. He can run it out, but he can also hit the other way. He can put it in the gap. So I'm looking for a little bit better approach, maybe a little bit more patient. I know it's a midweek, so naturally your mind's going to be a little bit more aggressive because it's those games that, quote, don't mean as much. But guys, a little too aggressive, chasing some pitches out of the zone. I want to see some guys a little bit more discipline. And then, defense, man, just gotta tighten up. A lot of errors, a lot of throwing errors. I think for the most part, Ole Miss is fielding the ball well. Just some mental stuff. So, watching that. I want to see basketball close on a good note. I mean, South Carolina is just god-awful at basketball. There's no other way around it. Ole Miss needs to go out and get a good vibes win. Like, get feeling good before you head to Nashville. I'll be there. I'll be there throughout the tournament, but I'll obviously be there as long as Ole Miss is there. But yeah,
you're going to do the whole media thing. You're going to get credentialed for us and like go down there and talk to Chris and them and all that kind of stuff. Because if you do, awesome.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there for post games.
Heck yes, dude. We're going live to you then. Like that's what we're going to do. We'll do live from like why not? Like Zach will be there in the thing. We'll do you'll be reporting from the scene. Zach Berry for the Ole Miss Spirit. OleMissSpirit.com affiliate on 3. If you sign up today for just $1, I mean you'll be there. We got to go there. We got to be there. We were there in Pittsburgh, Mississippi when Judge Whitwell made that decision. We will be there. That's like that's our thing. We're there. We're going to show up and we're going to be there.
Yeah, it's great. It's obviously it's right down the street for me. SEC, Bridgestone Arena. Everybody does a fantastic job there. Get to go see some good friends that are in town covering it. So it'll be a good time all around. But I'm looking for Beard and Company to close strong because that's we've talked about it on the show a lot. I mean, the team hasn't quit. I mean, they're playing hard. I mean, it's not like they just, are mailing it in every game and getting blown
very
out.
low bar to clear, but that is one bar they've cleared. I don't think they've given up. I think that they've continued to put in the work. And Chris Beard said that as well. He's like, look, guys, they continue to show up every single day. I mean, they're early in the mornings. They're early to the gym. They're doing what you want them to do. It's just hadn't come together for them.
Yeah. So yeah, looking for hoops to close strong this weekend. And then I guess the Lady Rebs continue to stack wins, add to that resume. I know I was joking with the Legal Gambling Council over the weekend when Ole Miss dropped a pretty bad one. And Nicholas Carr was like, hey, maybe they slide out of that 5 line and get to the 6, and then you avoid that 1 seed. So, 4D chess maybe there. But no, Coach Yo and them, I mean, they absolutely just blasted Auburn last night. So excited to see how they do.
They beat them by 40 points. I mean, whipped them.
At one point I kept checking my phone, and it was Auburn only had 9 points for what seemed like 20 minutes. So good effort defensively, good bounce back.
Needed it. They'd lost 4 straight. I mean, the clunkiness, weirdness of the schedule at the end of the year.
Yeah, that killed them. That I'm not making excuses for them, but I mean, that just absolutely
that's a legitimate friggin' excuse, man.
Yeah, and then your best defender's out. That hurts. That's just another depth piece. Not only your best defender, but just another body to go out there. So those legs were tired. But yeah, it's gonna be a good weekend for Ole Miss sports. Yeah, if you want to go ahead and dive into this Trinidad Chambliss stuff,
I do.
Before our legal correspondent comes on, I did talk to some attorneys and kind of got their opinion. A lot of it is basically what we've said on the board, I don't know if I'm saying this correct. I'm quoting the Legal Gambling Council here. It's interlocutor.
You got it.
Appeals are that occur in the middle of a case, and because the case has not concluded, it's not a final judgment or a decision on the merits that the party is seeking the appeal. In this case, the NCAA would be asking for permission to appeal the decision to begin with. So they use the example of Judge Whitwell granted Trinidad's preliminary injunction. The NCAA did not like it, but the lawsuit has not concluded, in that they would still go through written discovery, depositions, and potentially another trial to determine whether or not a jury agreed that Trinidad had been harmed, and then you would get the final judgment. And this scenario would say the Supreme Court would review the decision that occurred. But they told me that the Supreme Court almost 100% of the time would say 99 of 100 interlocutory request, or the Supreme Court doesn't even take it up, much less review it to give a decision. So they said, they'll just write a letter to the AA within the next 2 to 3 months that says, hey, sorry, but we're not going to review this case. And look, hey, the landscape of what's going on in this country is probably going to help out too, because they're a little bit more pressing issues right now than dealing with this. But yeah, from all of the legal correspondence that I have, nobody seems too miffed by this. I don't think it's going to be a huge ordeal.
I don't either. I spoke with John Cox before his appearance on today's podcast. He's going to join us about 10:30 and finish out the show with us. Just a quick breakdown. You see the tweet from Pete Thamel on your screen. He's the one that broke it down. This is not a surprise. This is something that John called right. That 9-hour marathon of the Pittsburgh trial for Trinidad Chambliss against the NCAA, where Judge Whitwell granted the preliminary injunction, which all but secures him for 2026. He is going to be Ole Miss's quarterback in 2026, regardless of this, because this is just securing that. Essentially, this could be dragged out for an undetermined amount of time. It could drag on not just into the season, but after the season. Then you'll get some type of settlement thing. For the NCAA, this is the next step. You have to take this to save face but don't expect anything to change here, which is what, John Cox, our legal correspondent here at ToC Champions, is a Cleveland-based lawyer, and he was right on during the trial, what would happen, what Judge Whitwell would say, what would be arguing, and nothing's changed in that way. If anything, by appealing to the Mississippi Supreme Court, the NCAA is facing an even tougher, not just burden of proof, but also like a home field advantage. I think 8 of the 9 sitting justices on the court have some degree from Ole Miss. That's not to say they're not going to apply the law. They are, but it's just like it's if y'all thought Judge Whitwell was going to be hard to sway, this will be harder too. But even then, from the law perspective, as John told me yesterday, like appellate courts don't just flip turn chancellors unless it's just egregious. It is just not egregious, this ruling. And that's kind of what Andy Staples, in a story that you can find on the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com/3, that QR code right above our heads. Scan it today as a new member and join for $1 for 5 days to try us out. And Andy Staples, who's an On3 national analyst, he's got that whole law perspective background as well. He made a really good point as well. I mean, while the NCAA, in filing the 658-page appeal on Thursday, Whitwell's original ruling, in many ways, I mean, it went on for 92 minutes, and the reason why for that is to inoculate the ruling against an appeal. I mean, Whitwell spelled out exactly where he thought the NCAA decided unfairly against Trinidad Chambliss, and the application of the law wasn't egregious. So you're not going to see an appellate court, just throw out a chancellor's ruling in that way. I just think it's more than anything else the hope of the NCAA, or just the NCAA trying to save face, knowing that they lost, and nothing's going to change in that way. Trinidad Chambliss is Ole Miss's quarterback in 2026. And the one thing online I keep seeing is like, well, he just needs to give it up already. He's going to be one of the oldest players in college football. Dude, he's 23. He's 23.
Yeah, the thing that I keep
was 26, for Christ's sake. I mean, he's 23.
The thing that I keep coming back to is the entire time when Chambliss entered the portal and then committed to Ole Miss. I mean, you can go back and look. Like, the internet, like, contrary to popular belief, you can Google things on your own and find it. Every article written about Trinidad Chambliss when he committed and signed with Ole Miss was he's got 2 years of eligibility. Mm-hmm. Everybody said it. And then it's just like, okay, hold on a second.
Wait a second. So and then the caseworker for the NCAA said, you know what? What y'all provided is sufficient enough. But still, wait a second. That's the one thing Ari Wassman brought up in that exact same story that I just quoted. And again, find it at the Ole Miss Spirit. I don't understand the reasoning or what's the thought process behind trying to die on this particular hill. Why Trinidad Chambliss of all the cases? That's the one that doesn't make much sense to me, because one, he's good for the sport, so the harm argument's insane. They're also arguing is the NCAA. This is the fun part. This is the really stupid part. According to Mitt Winter at Winter Sports Law on Twitter, I don't know who this is, but he pointed this out, and it's a good point. The NCAA is claiming Ole Miss will be harmed, or is harmed, by the order allowing Trinidad Chambliss to play. They're arguing that with a straight face, that Ole Miss is harmed because the injunction order, quote, threatens harm to UM as rostering an ineligible quarterback, risks sanctions under NCAA's rule of restitution. The order enjoined that rule. So, again, the inoculation with the ruling of the NCAA's, attempt to appeal is going to cover the basis here. There's a reason. There was a method to Judge Whitwell's madness, if you will. He's going to play, and he's Ole Miss's quarterback in 2026, and the NCAA can't do jack turkey about it, but file this appeal to. And like I said a month ago, they're going to file, guys. John Cox, who's coming on to really explain it the proper way. Yeah, they're going to file an appeal, but they're not going to win. They're going to lose. And, it's great fodder for discussion. It's just, for me, very strange. I'm curious, why do you think the NCAA is taking this route specifically? I don't want to do the grievance stuff they're out to get Ole Miss. It's this, that, and I don't want to do any of that. I'm trying to look at it from a very different perspective, man. What's the benefit? Why this one, in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't I don't really know. I'd imagine there are several other cases the NCAA could chase and have a better chance at. I don't understand. I mean, maybe Mitt Winter is still, I don't know why he'd be miffed. I mean,
I don't know.
He's a former basketball player at William and Mary. I mean, I know William and Mary beat Ole Miss in that regional in Raleigh, North Carolina years ago. So I don't know what he's, I don't know why he's still mad at Ole Miss, but I don't really get it. I don't know. I don't know if this is like some weird ploy to like, let's go get someone who's like a marquee player where it's like, this is backwards. Like, you want this guy in your sport. Like, you want this guy to represent, college athletics. I don't have an answer. I don't like. I don't think it's because it's Ole Miss. Like, I know people are going to say, well, the NCAA just wants to stick it to Ole Miss. I don't really think it's that. Now, maybe they did like come back because I guess maybe Judge Whitwell, holding them in contempt for leaving. Maybe that was
like y'all left.
I mean, I don't know. I don't do a lot of lawyering, but even I know you can't do that. So yeah, I don't know. I really truly like have no answer there. Like, why are you?
I don't know.
Again, the guy had 2 years. I don't get it.
Yeah, and it's like the red shirt. It's not his fault. The red shirt rules are different in Division II than they are Division I. Then we could argue about the uniformity of rules. It's just weird that they've.
Which I don't understand why those are different. Why would you do that?
Patrick Storm expert says the NCAA is using Chambliss as a high-profile case to influence Congress for antitrust help. That would make sense, but like, why is this the most high-profile? Like, what was Diego Pavia then? What was?
Good luck influencing Congress to do anything at this point.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. Like, Congress ain't gonna do, and that just shows the effectlessness of. Yeah, that shows the effectlessness of the NCAA.
And that's not even me making a political statement. I mean, that Congress is going to do what Congress wants to do. Like, they're not going to care about this or what the NCAA is doing. Like, they don't care.
They don't care. They really don't. I wanted to highlight a couple of comments in the chat. This one from Morris Cunningham. Good morning. First time posting to the chat. Dude, thank you. If you haven't posted, dude, don't be shy. We want to hear from everybody all the time. I watched the 9 hours of the hearing for Trinidad. Thank you. I have a great story about that too in a second. I was glad Ben finally left to take his wife to dinner. It was her birthday, and he says, "Hotty toddy." Thanks, man. Thank you for chiming in. Please do it more often. And it turned into a wonderful birthday dinner for my wife. But there was initial frustration. I'm not going to lie to you. I was feeling a little sweat on the brow because she was like staring down. I was like, "Is it time yet? Is it time? Are you ready? Are you ready?" That was an interesting day. And it went far longer than any of us anticipated. But it has now got you to this place where the finish line is here. I think like the finish line has been crossed. Now it's just like, it's just arguing with the judges afterwards. That's all it is. It's like, wait a second, but did you see on lap 3? Nothing's going to change from this. And also at Payne Reb 314, Project Pat Tour coming to Nashville in September. I will be there. I didn't know about it till right now. I'm not kidding. I will be there. If Project Pat's coming to Nashville in September, I'll stay with Zach, and then we'll turn it into content. Could be a networking opportunity to get him on the pod. This is brilliant. Everything is content. I didn't know it. Thank you for letting me know. Now we know where Pat's going to be. That's all I'm saying.
I've got some connections with Hypnotized Minds. We could maybe make this work.
Yeah, I would think that'd be amazing. Did you say you have connections with Hypnotized Minds?
Yeah.
Why am I just now hearing about this? Are like you besties with Country Black? Like when did this become a thing? Yeah.
Crunchy Black?
Crunchy Black?
Not country.
Not country. Crunchy.
I mean, through various outlets, whether it would be fraternity parties or my first job out of college was at Sports 56, WHBQ in Memphis. We we're in the same studio, but they were in a different building. But Hot 107 was right next to us.
Awesome.
I was good buddies with a lot of their DJs and on-air talent over there. And then my brother was really tight with the owners of Cat's Music in Memphis. If you know, you know. And like 3-6 Mafia would just come into Cat's Music all the time and just hang out. And my brother
I love that. Like DJ Paul and Juicy J just rolling in on Wednesday, you know?
Yeah. I mean, both Paul and Jordan are really cool guys. They are super down to earth. Yes, I did use their government names.
You did.
Yeah, they're both like super chill, down to earth. Like they're not like too cool for school or anything. But yeah, we could try. Actually,
what have I ever really asked of you, Zach, in our long years of knowing each other?
Let me check. I think I still have their manager's number.
Dude, why am I just now finding how often I quote 3-6 Mafia and Project Pat specifically? You just now are volunteering this thing up. What is wrong with you?
If it's the same manager, I still got it.
This is insane.
I also have Waka Flocka's manager's number in here.
You can keep that. I mean, I don't hate Waka Flocka, but like you can keep that. I'm good on that.
Yeah.
Now, because here's the thing, man. 3-6 Mafia, they're like, I just now got into Glorilla. All right. I didn't know she was from Memphis. I just listened to what I listened. Well, dude, she's sampling like Don't Save Her on her songs. Like, so on her tracks. So like we've gotten to the place now as old men where they're sampling our favorite artists, but like also introducing me to new one. And she's got that Memphis sound, man, and she's got bars and she's awesome.
She's awesome.
To the day I DIE, I will go into the ground. 3-6 Mafia. I mean, it's like it was the background music to my life, you know? Like I could quote like when you say DJ Paul, buddy, the songs I know, especially one that is the crudest song I've ever heard in my life, and I know every word to it, still getting my from the hose.
Yeah, I mean, that was like the first song I ever listened to in my first car that I ever drove when I got my license was Riding the Chevy Part 2.
I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, Glorilla's awesome. I don't know her, but she's like a huge like beacon in the community. Like she raised a ton of money for her alma mater, Melrose in Memphis. At one point they were talking about shuttering that school, which is like, I mean, that's
Melrose. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and so,
I've been to Melrose covering recruiting stuff. Back when
dude, Melrose, go if you can go to a game there because they tailgate, and it's like Melrose and Whitehaven both like their alumni networks are super active. And dude, you want to talk? I mean, it's like the Grove. Like they have tents. They cook. I mean, now it's open flame. It's not. It's not like the Grove. All the LSU people that are listening are probably gonna get a kick out of that. But yeah, going to a game at Melrose or Whitehaven is a ton of fun. We would go to Whitehaven games on our bye week just because we could go and get a turkey leg and just watch Whitehaven play somebody. But yeah, there's our Memphis segment of the show for everybody.
Oh, see, and Payne Reb says worth knowing too. He was listening to a Project Pat interview a while back, and he says a lot of his people are from Mississippi, so the connection is there. I am one of your people, Project Pat. So yes, many of your people are from Mississippi. That would be absolutely awesome to do. And then that Jeep, we got John Cox waiting on us at the Jeep Adventure. Met my wife in Oxford. 36 manager was hitting her up to a 3-6 manager. I said 36. 3-6 manager was hitting her up to come to a pre-party before they played the Lyric. She told them she wasn't coming unless I could come too. We ended up in their bus that night. Yeah, I want to hear more. Like that seems like an incomplete story. Maybe we got to get at the Jeep Adventure on with us one day. But for now, we're going to go to John Cox. Before we do, my thanks to Riverland Roofing, to B&A Bank. You see B&A Bank there on your screen. Call them today for all your financial needs. 662-534-8171. Online at bnabank.com. Drew Moke of USA Benefits Group for all your health insurance needs. 601-953 8449, online with quoteswithdrew.com. And before we jump from John, let's hear a word from our friends at Riverland Roofing.
Protecting homes and businesses from the whims of nature, you need more than just quality materials. You require Riverland Roofing. Licensed, insured, and certified, Riverland Roofing offers not only the assurance of excellence, but a tailored approach to your unique structural needs and budget. To learn more about what Riverland Roofing can do for you and the community, call them at 662-644-4297 or visit riverlandroofing.com.
Riverland Roofing, for all your roofing needs. They're a friend of us here on ToC Champions and at the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com. For the 13, scan that QR code. Today is a new member and try us out for 5 days. I got stories all about this Trinidad Chambliss case. One quoting the ToC Champions legal correspondent, John Cox. Hey, John, what's up, man?
Hey guys, what's going on? We want to talk rap or we want to talk Trinidad?
I could talk 3-6 Mafia all day. Let's just be honest. I could talk about La Chat. I could talk about Project Pat, Country Black. But I have John Cox on to tell me what you think about the NCAA appealing to the Mississippi Supreme Court, essentially arguing that Judge Whitwell's ruling last month needs to be overturned. What's just your make of this, the layman's perspective when you get approached? And he does get approached. He told me this. He does get approached now because he's the ToC Champions legal correspondent. When they come up and say, all right, is Trinidad in trouble? Is Trinidad going to be the quarterback? What do you tell them?
Well, my gut tells me, like we talked about yesterday, Ben, I don't think Trinidad's in trouble just from a Judge Whitwell was really careful with his ruling, and he's going to a favorable jurisdiction in the Mississippi Supreme Court. That said, anything's possible in a courtroom. And I actually took the time to read their petition last night. And what I did not read.
You didn't go 658 pages.
It's not 658 pages. It's really 18. Yep. It's now they attach their 438 page policies and procedures manual, which candidly, if it takes you 438 pages to outline the policies and procedures of anything, perhaps you have a flawed organization. But that's just my opinion. But and the rest are exhibits that are on there. They attach a lot of the same stuff we had seen at the initial stage. Their argument's novel. I mean, it's pretty good. The NCAA's argument is, on this one, we can talk more about that. But Trinidad, I think Trinidad Chambliss is in a good spot. Like I said yesterday, if I was I'm a lawyer, not a prognosticator. He's got a touchdown. He's got about he's about a 7-point favorite walking into the court right now. So
what about their argument is novel to you?
Okay, I'll back up a second. They went to, you have to understand that Trinidad's argument, courtesy of William Liston and Tom Mars and Trey Byers, was that Trinidad is a third-party beneficiary and it's a breach of contract case. In other words, that's what got them into state court. You've seen these other cases with the Supreme Court throughout the country, with the NCAA throughout the country, that people have failed because they've either tried to go through like an antitrust action, or they just haven't sued in state court and said, hey, this is just a breach of contract. And NCAA is not following its own rules. I'm a student athlete. Ole Miss is the primary beneficiary and under the contract, but because I play for Ole Miss, I'm a third-party beneficiary. We have a contractual relationship, and you're breaching your own rules. I just broke down a lot of law in 2 sentences.
Sounds good to me. That's what you're here for.
So the NCAA is now arguing, and really, I think this is the first time I just read their answer. They actually filed an answer in the state court proceeding at the same time. And we'll talk later about why they had to do that if you want. But anyway, they argued that he is not a third-party beneficiary, which they didn't really have time to argue it at the injunction hearing. But by doing that, they likened it to a Mississippi Supreme Court case based out of Hattiesburg, that a student athlete that the High School Activities Association had a young man was not eligible or was ruled not eligible, and I take that back, was ruled eligible. And then
we've lost. We're losing everybody. I got Zach. Zach, can you hear me? I feel like I'm losing everyone right now. Everyone is I need to get Zach back. I need to get need to get my man John Cox back. He was in the middle of talking. Don't know what's happening. Let's see what John's going on. Jump back in. You dropped for some reason. Project Pat Angela says will be at the Exit In Music Forum on September 6th at 7 p.m. Where is that? Where is that? I would love to know where that. All right, so Zach, you can hear me, but you're frozen up on my end. So if you can hear me, drop out and join back in. Let's tell him to do that. Oh, there he goes. He's kind of unfrozen now. We lost John, and you froze for a minute. I thought like the world was end. Were you listening? Could you hear everything John was saying there? He's already dropped out again. What are we going to do with you? All right, so where is Project Pat? Where's the Exit In Music Forum, Angela? Where is that? I would love to know that. All right, John's back. Sorry, John.
That's okay. I figure my threes of fans just cut me off.
Oh no, I was just like all of a sudden my guy Zach froze and then you dropped out. I thought my world was coming to an end. All right, back to
We're
it.
back. And I don't know where I was, but I'll say they're likening Trinidad's case to a case based out of Hattiesburg, in saying that in that case a high school athlete sued and got a preliminary injunction for eligibility. Saying that he was going to be eligible. If you know anything about high school, you can't just hop schools and play. Mm-hmm. And the High School Activities Association went to the Mississippi Supreme Court and argued successfully that in essence, as long as this organization, a private member organization, which they're I guess saying that NCAA in this instance would be the same thing as the High School Activities Association, a private member organization, as long as they're following their own rules, and they're not really acting arbitrary, capricious, we keep saying that. But as long as, by virtue of you being a member of that organization, you have to abide by the rules. You just can't run to court because you don't like the rule. And so they're saying, hey, and they did that in the Hattiesburg case. And the Mississippi Supreme Court basically said that a person does not have standing, meaning that they cannot come into court to challenge a member organization's rules as long as the member organization was acting fairly, and so was in essence abiding by their own rules. That's a pretty good argument, and it's interesting in this case because what they're saying, and they say it over and over in their motion to the Supreme Court, is that Tom and William and Trey are casting this as a breach of contract case, and it's not. That's what they're saying. Now, this is the NCAA's opinion. They're saying this is clever. Kudos for the lawyers over there. This is clever, but just because you actually have a heading that says breach of contract in your paper does not mean that this is actually a breach of contract case. That this is actually a case of just you don't like the rule. We have not done anything wrong. You've been eligible 5 years, and now you should go away, is basically what they're saying. Understand this. At this point, we have not seen a response from Trinidad's attorneys. And you also, and I think it's important that everyone knows, and this is kind of boring, but it's important to know this, they have filed for an interlocutory appeal. Now, what that is it means the case, ordinarily, the only way you can appeal to the Supreme Court is if there is a final judgment. In other words, you go to court and the court rules and that's it. And that's the end of the case, whether it be, the court ruling or the jury rules, whatever, you have a final judgment. And then you have a certain amount of time to appeal to the appellate court, in this case, the Supreme Court. We're not at that stage with Trinidad. If you remember, that's why we called it a preliminary injunction. That was the whole, we're going to get this on the front end. We have to get this now, and then the case will continue, so to speak. Now, as we've talked about, running the clock is Trinidad's best friend on this. So what they have done is they have asked, and the Mississippi law allows you to ask the appellate court, the Mississippi Supreme Court, for an interlocutory appeal, for permission to have an interlocutory appeal, which means they're basically saying, High Court, we're not done. We admit that there is not a final judgment. However, this is such a unique situation. This case is of such import. And there's a standards that basically It's a unique area of law. They're irreparable injury. I think if I wish I had $1 for every time I've said that. If you it's general importance for the administrative justice. It's a unique area of law saying you have to take this up now. We cannot wait, is what they're saying. So that's what they have filed. Now, here's the kicker, as my old law professor would say. You don't necessarily have Tom and them do not necessarily under our rules have to reply to that. What has to happen is the Mississippi Supreme Court has to grant them permission for this interlocutory appeal. We could very well get a one-page ruling back from the Supreme Court that has one sentence on it, Ben, that says denied. I mean, that could happen.
And then it's just over.
It's over. Well, actually, it's not over. It's just back to the trial court, which is why I said a minute ago they filed an answer. They filed their answer. They are proceeding at the trial court level as if they're going to litigate to the end, so to speak. And so now what could happen is the Supreme Court could say, hey, we'll take it up. We agree that, this is such a, unique area that we need to weigh in on this kind of area of law, this point of law. That would carry, I guess, the administration of justice, would win. And they could say that. And if they do that, they could say, hey, Trinidad, get your brief ready, file me a response. Let's argue this thing, so to speak. That could be an option. Or, and this is what they asked for, if you actually read it, they're asking because of the nature of this case, of an expedited ruling. And they're saying that because Trinidad does not have a viable case, in other words, there's no there because he really doesn't have standing to bring this lawsuit. They're asking the court to come in on an interlocutory appeal and basically vacate the lower court's ruling and say, it's over. He doesn't have standing, and that's it. It doesn't go back to the lower court. That'll be dismissed. And the Supreme Court has ruled because of what they say, it is just over. He didn't have standing. They likened it to the Hattiesburg case, and it's over right there. That could happen. Yeah, I thought it was interesting that their reason for an expedited hearing, one of the reasons why you would ask for it is because of, irreparable harm or anything like that. Well, their irreparable harm, they went both ways. And I said,
Ole Miss.
This was great. I mean, they not only argued the irreparable harm to the NCAA, which I'm sure no one cares, but they not only this whole, oh gosh, you'll open the floodgates, and I think I lost.
I've got it right here because I saw it too. It was the NCAA argues Ole Miss is harmed by rostering Trinidad Chambliss because of possible sanctions under the rule of restitution. There's just one problem, according to Fletcher and Smith. The court's injunction specifically enjoined enforcement of that rule. Hard to claim harm from something you're legally barred from enforcing. What do you make of that takeaway from that? Because it is an interesting way to argue it. It is a, you got to give the NCAA credit for that to try to point out not just the harm to themselves, but to Ole Miss as well. But do you see that holding much, if any, water? Or because of these scenarios you're laying out, that seems like the most far-fetched, but we're in far-fetched territory here.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a better argument than the whole Ole Miss needs a ruling so we can have another quarterback. I mean, you're doing me a favor. Thank you for appealing to the Supreme Court. I mean, I think that's, that there's a good argument to the whole you have to clarify this or else everyone under the sun is going to go into court and argue this. I mean, that's a decent argument. But I don't think it holds water, honestly. I think that breach of contract, the third-party beneficiary, I think they're dead on. I said it from the very beginning. I just don't see – I didn't know anything about the Hattiesburg case. I actually looked on there. I'm friends with a couple of the lawyers. I guess if I were a really good legal correspondent, I would have called them. But they
for the next time.
Next time I'll find out all about it. I promise.
Yeah, that boy.
But I think there's some validity to that argument. But I would be surprised if the Supreme Court did not want to hear Trinidad's side of the story from an argument. But they've done a very good job at the trial court level of laying it out. as far as on paper. And it's important for everyone to know that this is a appeal. I mean, you're in an appellate court. You're not going to get another hearing where Mama Chambliss is going on the witness stand and we're going to hear from Fordy again. We're not going to hear that. They're literally arguing the law, the paper at this point, and what their rules are. And so again, I don't want everyone to misinterpret and think that I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but it's a good argument. That Hattiesburg case is interesting, but I think the second part where the NCAA is in trouble is I don't think they followed their own rules. I think you can make an argument they're being arbitrary. I mean, who among us can't name people that have managed to get years, and extra, eligibility, and they didn't consider some evidence, even though they say in their thing they didn't have to, that it wasn't. They fell back on the same argument. And the latter part of their motion basically falls back on the same part about it wasn't contemporaneous and they did their right thing, all the things that Bob Whitwell didn't really think was very valid, So,
I'm curious too because like Andy Staples, my friend at On3, who's great national college football analyst. I wrote a story at the Ole Miss Spirit. That's the QR code above my head. Scan it today. If you're a new member, sign up for for $1 for 5 days, and then it switches to an annual. But we'd love for you to try us out, to hear more from John, from Zach, from me, from Sudu, from Brad and Jake and Chuck and Brad. I mean, everybody that you can imagine is on the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com. We'd love to have you as well. Andy Staples, in the story that I wrote for the Ole Miss Spirit, said that Judge Whitwell may have insulated the Chambliss ruling from an NCAA appeal with that long-winded 92-minute, and we were there for every second of it. We were listening live. What do you think of that take specifically?
Yeah, I mean and that's wise. I mean, if that's, I'm not sure that's what trial courts think, but I mean, he was so fact specific. Mm-hmm. Said, yes, this is the standard, but let me apply it to Trinidad's case very, very specifically. And because of that, it's easy to argue, I always say apples to pizza. It's easy to argue apples to pizza on that this is not an apples to apples case with the Hattiesburg. That person, that involved moving, being into a school district, whether or not you were eligible, and things like that. And Trinidad's case involves whether or not, candidly, he should have received a medical red shirt. I mean, that's pretty where that's where it falls down. The best example I can give you, and again, I'm not going to lecture anyone on constitutional law, but the famous Bush versus Gore, when it was the recount. And
the hanging shad. I was watching it live on broadcast television. Like, well, we've got all these people watching John talk about Trinidad going against the NCAA and Mississippi Supreme Court. I was watching, a round table about the hanging chads and watching people looking at the things.
Well, what was so cool about that case? I say cool. I mean, what was interesting about that case from a legal standpoint was basically the last paragraph of that ruling says it only applies to that opinion. Says that only applies to that opinion. I mean, which is why Bush versus Gore is a reported Supreme Court case, but no one can cite it because those facts were so specific. That's what and that's what Andy is meaning about, and I agree with him. I mean, Trinidad's case is it's not unique, but it's not one that the NCAA does things on a case by case basis, and it's a matter that they didn't. The arguments that they didn't apply their own rules, didn't follow their own rules.
I just wonder why this hill to die on. Why this one? And that's beyond your purview as a legal correspondent. But now that you've been a part of this rod for months now, and you're going to keep going here, why do you think they've chosen to die on this hill?
Because they're slow. This is John Cox's opinion. Because the NCAA is a organization that's slow, whose power is slowly eroding. Maybe not slowly, and you're grasping at everything. And quite frankly, they've lost. They're winning antitrust, which, cases in federal court say they're winning. They're doing better. They're meeting at the White House today to talk about the NCAA, I think. Whatever.
I love, hey, we got to fix a problem. Let's convene a round table. You know what I mean? I've always
who's missing from that round table?
Who's that? The NCAA.
A student athlete.
Tiger Woods is there, though, for some reason.
Whatever.
I mean, I think that's just so people in Washington go, holy shit, it's Tiger Woods, you know?
Yes. But anyway, I'm saying all that. And so the state court avenue is where they haven't been successful. And this breach of contract, it's real. I mean, that is if that is held up, and the NCAA knows this, then Tom and William and all, they have found the golden ticket for eligibility. And they've got to fight it. Now, they did not respond while they left yet. He still has a show cause order out there, and that's a minor sideshow. But
does that impact anything else? Like, you know, the views of, I mean, not that's just, I mean,
not the Supreme Court. No,
yeah.
I mean, they've now that said, like I said, they're still in the trial court. And here's what's interesting: unless the state Supreme Court kind of stops it and says we'll stay the litigation in Pittsburgh or in Lafayette County, that case just continues to proceed while the Supreme Court decides whether or not to take this up on an interlocutory appeal. So that's why they filed their answer. Technically, they still have to answer that show cause hearing until the Supreme Court says, "Oh, stop. Let's look and see. Let us play for a little while." So they'll just keep billing hours. God bless them.
Well, you said this before, and I'll kind of get you out with this. This was a kick the can down the road mechanism. And if he gets the preliminary injunction, he's Ole Miss's quarterback in 2026. This doesn't change that opinion, right? Like he's like, as far as this is concerned, we're probably not going to see. I mean, even if they're asking for it, we got to have it now because if you don't, all this could happen. I mean, nothing's really changed from that perspective in terms of him being Ole Miss's quarterback for 2026, regardless of all of this activity in the offseason from the NCAA. And also, Tom Mars did make one quote. He said he cited his judgment, and he essentially said the NCAA got their teeth kicked in for that one. I expect them to be spitting I can't say it, but spitting chiclets. Chiclets. Thank you. Y'all are both way better at this than me. Spitting chiclets on this one as well. So, what do you think about that? Like the timeline and the kick in the can and Tom Mars and just overall, does this change that point of view? Just the football part of it. Are we still operating like, well, Trinidad's the quarterback in 2026? That ain't changed. And
that's how I would operate. I would operate that way, unless all of a sudden you get a Supreme Court, opinion back saying we're granting the interlocutory appeal and we're vacating Bob Whitwell. Now, if they do that, then there are 9 Supreme Court justices in Jackson who went nuclear, and I just don't see that happening. Yeah. And quite frankly, and one reason I don't see it happening is because it's an interest. Even if someone there, if a majority or whatever it takes to grant this finds it interesting, they're going to want to study this a little bit. They're just not going to whip it out on a Wednesday and say, "All right, well, there it is. Let's go."
I mean, I might like to whip it out on a Wednesday, but I
knew you were going there, Ben. The minute I said it.
It's hump day, John. You walk right into it. I mean, come on now. Let's be honest.
You gotta form a round table in order to have a meeting, so you can schedule another meeting, and then it just keeps going. Like nothing is going to be accomplished with that. It's like
bureaucracy.
What's going to be accomplished today? There's going to be a picture. And
exactly.
And I'm sure we will have some pithy tweets and or whatever, true socials, and somebody will come forward, but they're not going to do it. If you're bringing, and this is way off Trinidad, but sort of connected if you want to go there. I mean, who all came to that? Who all was invited to that? You said Tiger
Woods, Urban Meyer, why is Urban Meyer still a part of the sports consciousness in 2026?
In case anyone needs like marriage counseling or something while they're there.
Yeah. Nick Saban, of course, makes sense, but also, he's a CAA stooge. He proved that with the Lane Kiffin stuff. If you're really trying to pull together the best and brightest minds to fix a problem of this magnitude, I think they missed the mark is all I'm getting at. Like, it's like Congress wanted to invite as many of their heroes in sports as they could to take pictures and tweet them out. That's what it seems like to me.
I told somebody this yesterday, and I'm probably just to get abused from the people watching right now. I said that, look, if I were convening that panel, first of all, I probably wouldn't have convened that panel. But if I were convening that panel, if we're pulling coaches, I mean, I could probably name you 25 coaches, including probably Lane, that I might have invited to the room to talk about the current state of college athletics. I mean, but, that's just so silly. And then when I saw they didn't invite one student athlete.
Not one.
What
are we doing? Why would you not want Trinidad Chambliss in that room then?
I mean, Carson Beck, he's been there long enough.
He's been there long. What else he's got going on right now?
Or the guy, I mean, I'm being facetious, but yeah, I mean, if you're not going to invite people who are directly affected by what's going on, then you're not serious. You're just taking pictures and giving platitudes.
Well, this is the last thing. Jeffrey Arnold, he asked a good question. Can the NCAA come back after a playoff run? Because Trinidad Chambliss, nothing has changed. He's Ole Miss's quarterback in 2026. You're just seeing the legal system play out, just as John has been explaining to you for a while now here on Talk of Champions. Like when it happens, when the ruling comes, we don't know, but we do know that Trinidad is a favorite going into this, though the NCAA has made an interesting argument, one that you could say is, certainly one that would be potentially persuasive. But again, this is a different type of burden of proof and a different level. And they're not, and like John told me yesterday, appellate courts don't just toss aside the rulings of chancellors. So it's going to have to be one hell of an argument. But Jeffrey Arnold, can the NCAA come back and say in the scenario, they get their ruling, come back after a playoff run or maybe even a national championship and say, we don't recognize the Natty or wins while Trinidad leads Ole Miss? I'll simply say to that, as y'all both shake your head and go, yeah, see you in court.
Hey.
See you in court. And the NCAA, its laws in the court of law, its rules, its laws, as John has said multiple times, they just don't hold up well.
Yeah, those guys, that's a funny question. I mean, if they've lost all the way through and he's eligible and they decide that, even though we've lost in the court of law, we're just going to vacate a national championship or something like that. I mean, dear Lord, that's the textbook definition of a sore loser, isn't it? And
not just taking your ball and going home, you're taking your ball and lighting it on fire.
But, every time I see that, I think of, the coach at USC, Pete Carroll, when they vacated everything. His great quote, we were there. We saw who won.
Exactly. Yeah. Nobody looks at Reggie Bush now and is like, well, he's not a Heisman winner anymore.
Exactly.
Like, no, you saw it. Like, who cares?
And they gave the Heisman back. You're just saying the same.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
History repeats, fellas.
That's stupid with a capital S if they were to try that.
I'll ask you one more thing because they're coming in hot from the comments. Josh Cochran for John Cox, ToC Champions Legal Correspondent. Could Trinidad countersue the NCAA for damages when this is over? The NCAA should pay for court costs and fines for all the trouble they have caused Ole Miss and Trinidad.
I mean, I guess he can. I mean, I don't know if he would. If he wins all of that, I mean, I don't – why? Why would you want to ever see them again at that point? And, I mean, if you read – I don't know. I mean, if you believe what you hear, I'm not sure the lawyers are working for very much money right now. They say they're working for free. So, but I mean, I guess Trinidad could. I don't know why he would. I would advise him, if you win this, go win a national championship.
My guy William Roden, I just can't see the Mississippi Supreme Court taking this seriously, and who cares? I can, because the argument is a good enough argument they're going to listen, but we still think the same, that it's ultimately going to lead to the same. I'm not going to say they're going to write a one-page dismissed, end it right then and there kind of thing anytime soon. But this could be heard. I still think ultimately in the end, if you're an Ole Miss fan, nothing's changed. They got what they needed to get with preliminary injunction. He'll be Ole Miss quarterback in 2026, and we'll see if the NCAA can work some magic in the courts. And so far, that's been a very tough playing field for them. John Cox, ToC of Champions legal consultant, expert legal consultant, Cleveland-based lawyer. You're the man, John. Thank you for spending more time with us. And I know you're a regular now because apparently the court system for us, John, this is going to be a daily part of living if you're Ole Miss people. You know what I mean? So, you're always welcome back, and we'll see you soon. All that.
Yeah. Just when they'll file something soon. So just holler at me when they do.
And you'll get a text and say, hey, man, let's figure it out. Thank you, John. You're the best, man.
Y'all take care. See y'all.
That's John Cox, ToC of Champions, his legal correspondent. What a great dude, and what an incredible guest he always is. Always providing incredible insight into the legal going. Are we supposed to take this serious, Ben and Zach? I'm not.
No,
not yet.
I don't think so. I think it was on our board. I can't remember if it was on our board or Twitter. Somebody said that like 4 of the 5, I don't know the term. I'm not an attorney. 4 of the 5, I guess, people that matter in the Mississippi Supreme Court are Ole Miss alum. Again, somebody in the chat, I scroll to find it, said like what I've said since this began was, I guess maybe this answers our question, Ben, why the NCAA is doing this, because they need a win. Like they're just trying to get something to stay relevant.
You got Charles Bediaco, you got that one.
Yeah. But I mean, that's not that you can't compare the two, because Charles Bediaco went pro and then came back. Like it's not the same thing. And not that you're saying that, but like, I'm just saying like, of course, like, yeah, dude, you went pro, like you're done. Like people say it all the time, but it like literally is the same thing. It'd be like LeBron James just being like, you know what? I should have gone to Ohio State. I want to come back. Like, no.
Which, by the way, would be awesome. I mean, we're just talking about purely ridiculous things that are in no way applicable to Trinidad Chambliss's case. Like every time I see somebody on social media say, just give it up, dude, go to the NFL. He's 23. He's 23. Like he's still within his window.
Getting 9 years. Like
Isaiah Hartrip is 25 years old on his 6th year. He's third at Ole Miss. I mean, like
he got a COVID year and a medical red shirt.
Yeah, it's like we pretend like the generational pandemic that happened 6 years ago wouldn't cause eligibility questions and concerns. Like what are we talking about?
And look, guess what? Guess who decided to give everybody a free year?
Yeah, they did. No one else did. Y'all did it. NCAA.
Golly, dude. The consequences of my actions, they're coming back.
Oh no, it is the consequences of my actions.
Like you guys could have just said, no, sorry. You don't get it. You don't get it back. But you did. And now this is why we have all of this red tape and all of these asterisks and all this fine print, because there are guys that took advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Which, hey,
Ole Miss Ben 198.824. I mean, what does it matter if he's our age, Ben? What does age have to do with anything? I agree, and it's just lazy criticism. It's like you're intentionally trying to be misinformed when those people online go, "Dude, give it up." We got like 10-year players playing in college now. Trinidad isn't one of these people. He's 23. This isn't like who is the Brandon Whedon? Was it Brandon Whedon who's 28 going to the pro?
Those guys that would go play pro baseball and then come back. Chris Winky did it.
Yeah. Drew Henson. Like what? This is just absurd. It's weird that and you know what? I think you're absolutely right. I think John's absolutely right. They need a win. And this is the closest they've gotten to getting a win in the courts, in the actual judicial system where they don't get wins. So they're going to drag it out as far as they can. Bottom line for me, and after listening to John, the NCAA makes a compelling argument and cites past precedent from the Mississippi Supreme Court. However, this is unique to even that. And while that argument can be something to be heard, bottom line, appellate courts don't just throw out chancellor rulings with the bathwater. And they're walking into a playing field that's even more slanted in the side of Ole Miss than the NCAA. Not to say, I mean, this is Mississippi Supreme Court. 8 of the 9 justices have some degree from Ole Miss. But they're not going to go, our quarterback's making like Riley Smile going, oh, well, we're going to screw the law. No, they're going to apply right. But there's a reason why the Judge Whitwell spent those 92 minutes boring you and I to tears is for this specific purpose. Once they inevitably appealed to the Mississippi Supreme Court, allowing his ruling to not be thrown out. So unless it was an egregious misapplication of the law, it ain't nothing going to happen to it. And it wasn't an egregious misapplication of the law. In open and shut. Compelling as the NCAA's case or argument in this matter might be, and I want to hear it, and they have to continue to fight it. You know what I mean? They have to, because they're they're facing an existential crisis. So maybe I'm answering my own question.
Yeah, it's, again, just trying to stay relevant somehow.
Yeah.
That's all. That just this is grasping at straws. Like, this is the most grasping at straws.
Well, this has been another lawyer, legalese field edition of Talk of Champions. At least we cover what we're watching this weekend. I will be at Ole Miss basketball tomorrow for the regular season finale against South Carolina. Going to ask Chris Beard about the future. I know it's not the time really to focus on, but really it kind of is. I mean, they're going to the SEC tournament after this, and they can make a run and secure an automatic qualifying bid. But let's be honest here, the way things have gone, their season's probably going to be over about this time next week. So I want to ask Chris about just what they plan for the future, maybe some philosophical on-court recruiting adjustments, whatever it might be. I don't know. I'm curious to see what he might say. Our thanks to all of you for joining us, as always, here on Talk of Champions. If you haven't already, please scan this QR code right here above my head and sign up for the Ole Miss Spirit for $1 for 5 days to try us out. That's where I'm going to be immediately after we close out here. I know Zach's got to do some daddy duty stuff, so we got to get him out of here. You know what? As I close this out, Zach, you go do what you got to do. Thank you for always being the best, buddy. Zach is at the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com, affiliate of 03 with me, the best recruiting guy for Ole Miss in the business, bar none, period. Go check out his stuff. He got a great story right now about one of Mississippi's absolute best, who Ole Miss is a finalist for. I think Ole Miss is getting Ben Jarvis Shoemaker. I'm going to keep beating that drum till I hear different, but I'm hearing that really strong. And I want to talk more and more recruiting with Zach. We'll do that next week. I will be taking the family to Universal Studios next, the 11th and 12th. That's what I'm doing. I'm taking them to Universal Studios then. So I won't be here for that, but Zach will. And Zach's been killing it with interviews lately, including Joe Tipton. Go ahead, buddy.
Last thing before I run, for those interested in donating for Blood Cancer United,
yes,
me and my good buddy Pat, who is also joining the team and is going to help raise money. We just made it easy for everybody. We're just going to do a March Madness bracket, and it's just a $10 buy-in. There'll be cash prizes for first, second, and third, and 100% of the proceeds will just go to the campaign. So everybody makes a bracket. We figure, hey, we'll just take, $10, all that'll go to it. So we're hoping to raise a bunch of money. I'll share that link once we get everything set up on the board.
Text me that link, and I will put it up where that QR code is on your head, above my head next time. It'll be there for Zach's tournament bracket. I will be a part of it. $10 to join it. Sign up. Let's get the biggest, baddest, most awesome bracket we can come up with. As many people to give to Zach and his efforts to raise money for cancer awareness. I'm so proud of you. I'm thankful for you. And Zach will be with you. I'll have a podcast Monday and Tuesday, but he'll be with you with somebody, probably Brad, maybe Sudu, maybe, he gets Joe Tipton again, just drops his nuts on the table, says, you know what, I'll ride solo with it. Whatever he wants to do, I'm sure it'll be great, but I'm going to tell him bye now so he can go about his thing. Bye, Zach.
See you, bud.
That's Zach Berry of the Ole Miss Spirit, omspirit.com, affiliate of 03, that QR code right here. We'd love for you to scan and join us, man. But yeah, I wanted to touch on a couple of our sponsors, man, including Allen Samuels, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, of Oxford for your next car, truck, or Jeep. 662-234-8000. AllenSamuelsOxford.com. Mason and Brian, then they're just absolutely wonderful people, and they'll take care of you. Good Ole Miss people. Our thanks to cspire.com for everything they do for us. Built Different Fitness. Join them today for a better you in 2026. 662-832-0961. That's 662-832-0961. Online at bdoxford.com. For all your Ole Miss merchandise, excuse me, it's College Corner, 662-550-4330. That's 662-550-4330. Online at collegecornerstore.com. I'm wrapping up here, so if you have any more questions for the chat, go ahead and throw them in there. Tannehill Carmen PLLC has served Oxford for over 20 years. Contact them today for your legal needs, 662-200-8734. Same with John Cox, man, our legal correspondent here at Talk of Champions. He's the absolute best. He just, in a funny story he told me, he said he's been people been coming up to him going, dude, I love you on Talk of Champions, the Talk of Champions legal correspondent. He has two sons at Ole Miss, and they're in a fraternity. And that day we went 9 hours from Pittsburgh, and 84,000 people watched at one point. We're watching at one point. All the kids in his kids' fraternity were all watching it. And when John came up, they yelled out to his son, like, Dad, John, or your dad's on, John Jr., your dad's on the TV, man. Like, I love the community we built here and the fact that John is now a big part of it and that y'all are calling him out and saying, hey, what's up, ToC Legal Correspondent, is just an absolute delight. So keep showing love to John and all of those who contribute here to Talk of Champions, man. Bradley Sal's coming back soon. Kentrell Lockett, Jarrell Poe. Man, pick your peoples, man. We tried. Mike Clement, he was supposed to be on today, almost has a doubleheader in baseball. Curious to see, because we didn't get to talk as much baseball as I wanted to. So curious to see how this lineup kind of settles in. Very swing and miss heavy. Dom Decker's doing a great job leading off. Maybe have to drop Judd Udemark a true three outcome hitter from two, because man, Dom's doing a good job getting on base. Needs somebody to move him over. Maybe a Tristan Bassett in the second spot. Will Leverett had a tough start last week. Marco Cipolla, who's finally healthy, man, he looked really good in his midweek start. He could push the start on the weekends as well. They got pitching depth. I'm just not freaking out after 2 losses last week in Houston. I think this is still a good baseball team, but man, the schedule is really, really tough. I think they're going to contend for Omaha. In basketball, that's where I'll be tomorrow. So I look forward to seeing all of y'all. But I just wanted to say thank you, man, to the absolute Bentley. Yep, I'm working on it. I'm working on at the Jeep Adventure. Bentley, he wants to hear from you, Bentley. I promise y'all, I'm working on it, man. It's just, it's going to be tough. Will says, thank you, Ben, for being ours, dude. Thank y'all for being my guys, my peoples, my folks. Y'all are the best, man. And yeah, I'm just reading comments right now. Sorry. I'm so thankful to y'all and so thankful to all of our sponsors and stuff for what they've done, including finally Riverland Roofing on my hat and the little house up top. Riverland Roofing, 662-644-4297, riverlandroofing.com. Back on Monday, Mike Clement, hopefully on Monday or Tuesday. We're working on a bunch of different guests. Jake Schoonover, Ole Miss Special Teams Coordinator, has been telling me he's going to be coming on this podcast for 2 weeks, and he still hadn't shown up. We're going to get after him. He'll be on as well at some point. We're going to make it happen. Other assistants as well. Got some players, former players, a lot coming to you on Talk of Champions. So stay tuned. Thank y'all. Have a wonderful weekend. If you're at Ole Miss basketball tomorrow, come find me at the pavilion. Say hello. Talk to me. Love to see you. Until then, take care.